Hi, everybody. My name is Marco Dupa. That right there is Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
Yellow.
And our co-host, Drunk Dave, has taken the way of Adam Obesius and has left us for the West Coast. So first, Obesius goes to New York, and now Drunk Dave goes to California. And I'm going to stay here and keep doing this.
Sucker.
Tonight's brew is Deviant Dale's Indian Pale Ale from the Oscar Blues Brewing Company. It's 8%. It's a pint. It's a tall boy. We're going to have a good time tonight. This is the One Beer In Podcast. Oh, yeah. All right, let's taste. Clink.
It doesn't really work with plastic.
Plastic to glass, clink, clink.
I'll be the first to say that's delicious.
That is a good IPA.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm. Good choice.
Really good amber color to it,
Yeah,
too.
it does. Look at the bubbles rising in my tall glass.
Plastic tall glass.
Plastic tall glass.
But yeah, no, I really, really like this one. I'm a fan of this brewery in particular, too. For everything I've had from them, it's a really good Oscar Blues brewery.
I think we gave them a pretty good score the last time.
Yeah. Pretty much every single thing I've had from them has been at least great.
At least great.
Yeah. So keeping that record strong.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'd say for me, if we want to go straight to a tally, I'd probably go with a 5.5. I'm really digging it.
I think I'm gonna go 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's turning into our IGN 8.5. You realize that, right?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. We need to like have a bad beer.
I don't really want to, but
I think we should just kind of even out the scale.
I guess
we need something.
Maybe we can do like a bad beer night just to get that correlation. You know,
No, we should definitely do a bad beer night. Mm-hmm. But who's to say it's a bad beer?
Us.
Well, I know. I'm saying that's our opinion, but, you know, when we go to the store, like, how are we going to know? True. Unless we go with, like, a brand that we already dislike, and then what's the point?
That's true. That's what was going on in my mind when you brought that up, was that we would just get, like, you know, Budweiser and Coors and kind of pick the best of the crappy beer.
Right.
And
it would just be an average beer night. Just nothing special.
No. We should probably film that if we do that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be worth a video. I think that's what the people want. Definitely.
They want us to drink Budweiser. That's the point of the One Beer In Podcast, is to review that. Mm-hmm. This is episode 16 of the One Beer In Podcast. And I don't know, let's just kind of get right into it. We have an update of sorts. Mm-hmm. Episodes ago, I don't remember what episode.
You can't do the newscaster thing.
And now, yeah, we get drunk, so I don't remember what episode it was.
Oh, Lord.
But we did talk about the Redskins, Dan Snyder, and his over my dead body stance about the team name.
Right.
So now the U.S. Patent Office has kind of, I don't know, put their gloves into the ring with this whole fight over the name. They've canceled the trademark over the name. But doing a little bit more research, I found out that they canceled the trademark for like 1967 to 1990, something like that.
Right.
So it's not like, I think if people don't read into it enough, they're going to think like, well, now anyone can sell Redskins gear,
right,
and anyone can use the name. And it's going to, you know, Dan Snyder's going to take a huge hit to his pocket.
Or that this is the tipping point.
Right, that this is going to be the thing that changes things.
Which it's not.
And that, no, it's not. It's definitely not. It's just, I don't know, I mean, it's a step, but it's a light step. And they're probably going to cancel this ruling in appeals court anyway.
Maybe.
But it's still, on the one hand, it's nice to see people stepping up and taking that stance.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, it's like the federal government is getting involved with a sports team name.
Yeah.
You know?
It seems insignificant when you put it that way.
Yeah. Well,
but,
I mean, how is it? I mean, you're right. When you lay it out like that, it's like, well, yeah. But when it comes to the people that it actually affects,
right.
People say things like it's tradition and it's been around for years and nobody said anything, but that's not true. It's just that the people who were saying things didn't have a strong voice back then.
Right.
Now that there's appeals courts and there's Native Americans who can represent themselves and who can articulate their point and who are allowed to articulate their point.
Right.
Now that it's 2014, I really don't think that there's any room for a racial slur as a team name. It just doesn't make sense. Like, I mean, it sounds like a foreign concept.
Are you crazy?
But people act like just because the team name has been around for forever means that you can't change it.
It's the most stupid argument. Like, I still don't understand that side. And I, when I saw the article today on that, I made sure to look at the comments. I said the arguments because that's really what it is. But the comment section, and it was filled with people that are just adamant in that stance of this is a legacy, this is the way that we know them, and this is the way it should be.
Right.
And I'm sitting there going, how can you feel that way?
Right.
Like, I don't get it. I don't get the fervor over this team name that's clearly hurtful.
Right.
And just because it's been around for 50 years or something like that?
I think a little longer than that, but
regardless, say it's been around for 100 years. It's
close to that.
People don't, I don't know, go and do blackface anymore, even though that was acceptable 100 years ago.
Right.
Just because it has a legacy to it doesn't make it right.
Right.
So I still have that stance from the last time we talked about it, and I think that's completely ignorant.
Yeah. It just it really at this point just doesn't even. It's kind of like, I don't want to say that it's not obvious who's holding on to it, but legacy doesn't equal anything really anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that doesn't buy you anything, and it certainly shouldn't allow you to. I saw a comment on one of these articles where it said that, like, what happened? Why is America so PC now?
Right.
And blah blah blah. And it's like, it's not about politically correctness as much as it is about just being right.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's one thing if it was something like something that was, I guess you can argue over, like, these arguments I feel like are ignorant arguments. Like, if it was something like, I can't think of a good example, but not a racial slur,
just
but something
on the fence. A little bit.
Just a concept. Moreover, that like, okay, I like the Dallas Cowboys. I guess some people could be offended by that. I guess
it's a generality or something,
right? Like, I get the whole PC thing because I am somebody who feels like we are becoming too PC,
overly sensitive about these subjects.
It's like every other news article is some kid getting in trouble for bringing a paper gun to school or something like that. But this isn't one of those times.
No.
This is just something that it's like,
it's clear.
Like, it's very easily defined.
I mean, I'm trying to see it the other way around and see it from their perspective.
I really me too. That's what I've been trying to think about, is like, how can you defend that side?
Right.
And the only thing that comes to mind is, it's been around for forever. Why should we change it now? And it's like, that's exactly why you should change it now, because it's been around so long that you should take that step in the right direction and just say, like, people's respect for an entire culture is more important than a team nickname.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's just become like an ugly legacy, basically.
Yeah.
Over time. And maybe it didn't start out that way in these people's minds, which I think is still an ignorant stance to take, because I'm sure that Native Americans were not very happy about that name even back then.
Right. It's not like, it's not like I
don't think that's changed.
It's not like no one has said anything. People have been putting lawsuits in since forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they've been getting shot down. And now that you're getting more and more people who understand the feeling of, oh, maybe we shouldn't have a racial slur as a team name that's making millions of dollars on the backs of Native Americans. Like, maybe we shouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You get more and more people who understand that stance, and you get louder and louder voices. And now you get people who support the team, not even calling it the Redskins anymore, just calling them the Washington, football team. And it's not like there's not like I saw one of the bigger one of the team names that's getting a lot of groundswell is the Washington Warriors.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
What's wrong with that? You know, you can keep the trademark.
Yeah.
As far as the logo and everything, you can keep the team colors. Mm-hmm. Everything stays the same. You just call them the Washington Warriors. Washington changed their name, changed the basketball name. They changed the Bullets to the Wizards because Bullets was deemed too violent.
Violent, right?
I don't remember anybody. I don't remember hearing about it. I mean, there were some people obviously who were like, it's BS, but for the most part, it was just like, all right. I mean, fine. Why people are holding on to the Redskins so badly, I just don't know. Maybe football. It's because we're not. Yeah, well,
it's football,
and we're not. If we lived in the Washington area our whole lives, and we were like, lifelong Redskins fans, like if somebody wanted to change the Magic name, I guess it would just depend on the reason. Yeah. If there was a bunch of magicians who were offended by the Magic name, that wouldn't be enough.
We're called warlocks now, sir.
But if there was, a whole culture of like people who felt offended by it, I'd be like, it's just a team nickname. Yeah. Change it. I don't care.
Like my go-to with that is like the Yankees. I'm trying to think of if all of a sudden people were offended by the term Yankee or something and they wanted to change that. I mean,
or the Cleveland Indians.
Yeah.
But that's not a racial slur.
No,
that's just a word that's used to describe them.
Right.
It's not a slur. They're not trying to offend anybody.
I think that's okay.
But the logo itself is kind of offensive.
Yeah.
It's a big smiling Indian guy.
Caricature.
Yeah.
But I think that's actually a perfect example of what you're looking for before, where it was something that isn't blatantly racist, but can be taken in that way.
Right.
Because why are they called the Indians? It's because they're fierce and, they're prideful or, whatever it is they're going for with that motif.
Yeah.
It's a caricature of a race, of a culture, I should say. So, I mean, people can take that offensively.
And I think I've seen some people say if you're going to change the Redskins, then you got to change the Indians and you got to do this and that. And even Seminoles. The Yankees, I mean, you could, the Seminoles, a lot of people talked about that too. See, the difference, though, is if you use a general term like Seminole or Cherokee or Sioux, like if they were the, Washington Cherokees, like it would be, it just wouldn't be as bad. Redskin is a slur. It's not the same. It's not on the same level.
Well, I mean, it's most easily looked at if you replace red with anything else. You wouldn't dare call a team of the Blackskins or the Whiteskins even, or the Brownskins. Like that just doesn't fly any other way. So I don't see why this is any different.
I don't get it either. I don't know. Maybe it's because Indians still don't get a fair shake in society.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still looking at them like, do they even exist anymore?
Yeah. Honestly, in a lot of places, I mean, even locally, even though we have like the Seminole tribe historically, you don't really see a big Native American population around here. So, you don't see the people that are being hurt, really, I would say. So that makes it, I don't know, one of those not my problem things. So.
Yep. I really feel like it's not the end of this.
Okay, absolutely
It's not going to be over, but we're going to keep you guys updated because, I don't know, I think we both feel a bit strongly about it. That at least, we need to stay up on it, and it does need to change.
It got a really big press in the John Oliver show recently.
Yeah.
So I would check that out if you want any more info on that topic, really, because they kind of lay it out for you. So we'll see.
All right.
Okay, so as far as my topic goes, you're not a huge Harry Potter dude, really?
Well, I like what I saw.
Okay.
I read the first 4 books.
Okay.
And I saw all the way up to the Half-Blood Prince.
You got to keep going.
Yeah.
Those later movies are like the best.
I heard that, but I lost interest.
All right. Well, anyway, I mean, that's actually better than I was expecting from you, so, that works.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you heard, but they're coming out with the Diagon Alley section of Universal Studios.
I did not know that.
Okay, so that's coming out, I believe, at the end of this month or the beginning of July 2014 for everybody that's listening in the future. But it's been getting all this press. It's looking really cool. They've especially been getting a lot of press because Jimmy...
Fallon was
Jimmy
here.
Fallon's here, yeah.
So I'm still upset about that.
Me too. Me too. I'm seeing friends post a bunch of pictures on Instagram and VIP tickets and stuff.
Damn it.
Anyway, so they're coming out with that, which looks incredible. Mm-hmm. And I've always been a huge fan of making movies into reality, like living in that fantasy area.
Right.
And it's like super dorky, but at least for me, whenever you walk outside of a movie that you've really gotten invested in, you kind of feel that world still.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're still kind of living in that world.
Yeah.
As you hear the closing credits music and you walk out. And that's just the realization of it. And when you go to like an amusement park that has that sort of live the movies type thing,
right.
Or like just going into a fantasy world, I've always loved that about theme parks.
Right.
That's why I love like Halloween Horror Nights and stuff like that. It's like walking into a horror movie.
Right. Or the Simpsons area.
Yeah, the Simpsons area. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Jurassic Park and all that type of stuff has always been my thing since I was little. So my question to you is, given any sort of property you could possibly pick, whether it's from, movies, video games, TV shows, whatever, books, even, whatever you want, any fictional series, what would you make into an amusement park area?
Good question. I guess the easiest thing, and the first thing that comes to my mind is something like, I wouldn't say The Walking Dead,
okay,
but like,
which is coming back again, by the way.
I heard
for Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh yeah, we got to do that. I mean,
so many people are upset at that.
What, that it's coming back?
Yes.
Why?
Because like the diehard Halloween Horror Nights fans want to see originality. That's what the old stuff used to be.
Well, I mean, I would consider us diehards.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have you gone?
A lot.
I've gone a lot too. I mean, I only missed, I think, like 3 years since living in this state. Maybe, like 3 or 4 years I've only missed.
I'm pretty sure I started going on their 16th one.
And they're on...
Or no, maybe earlier than that, like the 15th, because I remember going to the Sweet 16 one that they did.
Right.
And they're in their 20s now. So
it was 24 or 25 last
something
year,
like that,
something like that.
So
yeah, I mean, I would consider us
pretty,
toot our own horn, but I think we would consider us diehard. And I get that, because the earlier stuff with the original characters and the original concepts,
original plots, and
it was
stuff
good
like that.
stuff. Yeah. It was good. So I can dig that. I can dig that. Using like properties and just kind of injecting them into real life. But this is exactly what you're talking about. That's why it was so awesome. Bringing that world to life. It's
that world building thing. It's incredible. I'm a sucker, especially for zombies too. Like that. I'm a big horror film geek, just like you are. So like being able to see that type of thing, and even when they did all the classic movie monsters and stuff like that, was super cool.
Loved it.
Super cool.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get where people are coming from, but maybe one more year, especially if they take what worked and make it better.
Right. They're saying that it's going to be bigger than it's ever been, as far as the zombie area, and they're going to have more actors than they've ever had in the past. Good. And all this type of. I mean, that's all just PR speak, but we'll be able to see when we go there.
Now, my thing is not to just bring the world to life, but bring the entire world to life. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like Halloween Horror Nights, for instance. Yeah, we get to walk through, a house that kind of represents the world. But what would be even better is something like, they're just out. You get a paintball gun. They have pads on. But if they get you, if they reach you, they have, like, let's say they have something on their hands or something. If they reach you and get it on your actual skin, you're out. You got to leave the park or leave the area until, so-and-so time or whatever. Right. Something like that like really brings you into like this.
The immersion.
There's fear in that,
Yep.
Like with Halloween Horror, well, I'm going to try to say a word now. Halloween Horror Nights, like you get it, and as you're walking through, that like they're just kind of there to kind of immerse you in the world, but nothing's really going to happen.
Right.
It would be better if there were slight consequences. So when I say something like Walking Dead or even like a George Romero type world, like let's say let's say the theme park is just a house. It's just a house. Well, not the theme park, not the whole park, but the attraction.
They put a roof on top of the entire theme park.
Just chopper in a roof and drop it
every
on the theme
night.
Park.
They just drop it on.
Okay, so they just have a house, a big enough house that 20, 30 people can walk through. But I mean, this is something that it would take a lot. But my thinking is, okay, like let's say 15 people, or even just your group. Let's say you can get like a private party, right? And you have a time limit to board up the house and then defend it.
Yeah.
So if you can't board it up, you've got actors who have certain areas that they can, like, if you don't board up a window, they can like push through, and if they get through, I don't know. Maybe you lose already, or maybe they have to reach one of you. See, now the problem is people who freak the fuck out, and then they go Rambo on you. Like if an actor like starts to like go through the window, and then some guy's like, no, and, like hauls off and just like
PTSD.
Knocks the guy out. Right, that's the only problem, and I think that was the problem with Halloween Horror Nights. A couple years ago, they stopped letting the actors touch people because people would get either offended or they would defend themselves. They would get so freaked out that they felt they needed to defend themselves, and then assault charges and this, that, and the third.
No, they're looking to stay as far away from any kind of possible legal issues that they can possibly do.
Because that's all you need is somebody who goes to the park, freaks out, punches you in the face, and then blames you when their hand is broken. You know. That's all they need.
Yeah.
So my theory probably wouldn't work.
Well, no, I mean, don't sell yourself short on that, because there actually is stuff like that, just not necessarily in like the horror realm. Because there's a thing in New York City actually that started in London. I forget the name of the sort of theater troupe that it is, but look it up. You can just Google search like interactive play New York City or something like that. But anyway, the main point is, it's basically just a big building that they have set up in like early 1900s setting, and they have actors that walk around there, and it's set as a masquerade. So everyone that's not an actor is wearing a mask. Everyone that is an actor is just in character the entire time. You can have full conversations with them. You can look through an entire house basically to uncover the story of what's going on. I think it's loosely based on like a Shakespeare play. But that concept seems really, really cool, and seems like the next step of that Halloween Horror Nights immersive experience, because they can touch you. I've heard that they dance with you, and like there's this whole other element of really, truly being able to interact and almost be in like a real video game type of scenario where you can choose your own adventure, do whatever you want, uncover the story for yourself. You're not just sat down looking at a TV screen as it's playing. So, if they were to do that in a horror setting, of course, it'd have to be much more careful as far as making sure people don't freak out, and if they do, knowing what to do. But I could see that working. It's just, do people want to be that scared? That's the question too, because that's a question within video games as well, where sometimes games are so intense that people never beat them because they just don't feel like doing it.
You talking to the right guy on that. There are countless video games that are like, okay, can't do it anymore.
I would never do that at all.
You know how long it took me to beat Dead Space?
I still haven't beat part 2.
It's just like, I'm done. Can't do it. I had to. And then the only way that I beat that game was I played it in the daytime.
Yeah.
That was it. I had to tell myself, look, dude, it's a fucking video game. Why don't you stop being a bitch and play the game? And that's the only way I beat it.
Yeah. My classic cheating maneuver is I put the audio down real low, and then put the captions on.
You're like playing the game through your fingers, like
sweating, knowing something's gonna pop out of that door.
Yeah, people would have to they'd have to sign releases, but then like, how far does the release go? Can somebody haul off and bite you, and you've signed a release saying that you can't sue them or anything like that. So,
and Universal Studios is way too big of a property to even have to deal with that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, they're just like, we're not. No, just don't touch them. Leave them alone.
Right.
It's not.
Get as many people in and out as possible, as quickly as possible, and then they also. I mean, that's the other reason why they're doing the like the AMC partnership and stuff like that, is because it's cheaper for them too to do it that way. So.
I mean, that makes sense. It makes perfect sense, and it's still it's mega popular. I mean, I still watch the show. You don't really watch it.
I tailed off.
Right. But I mean, the show itself, I don't know. It's hit or miss now.
I heard it picked up a little bit towards the end of this season, but
it did. It definitely did. But there was still some stuff where it was like a whole episode. You just like, what? I mean,
they lost me this season, so that's a testament to that. And I was an avid fan when it first started.
There's a couple episodes in there that are like, okay, now they're getting back to it.
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing that they're finally like, Rick is finally getting his balls back. If anybody's watched it, they know what I'm talking about. This guy, he's been like a fucking neutered dog for like 2.5 seasons.
Yeah.
And now he's finally growing a set. But that really doesn't have anything to do with because they don't use the show itself. I mean, like what's happening in the show. They use the setting of the show, which is keep it general, which is good.
Last Halloween Horror Nights, they actually did have the prison set up, so that was pretty cool.
And they had the barn. Could we go through the barn?
Yeah, you could walk.
You could walk through. Right.
Mind you, it was like a mini barn.
Yeah,
and
it was. Yeah.
It smelled like fire, which was pretty cool, and they had zombies in there and stuff. But it was all right.
Obviously we're gonna go.
Yeah, no, I'm still like super excited about it. No matter what, like I'm always excited to go again.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those things that I'll always enjoy doing, no matter.
But
what.
like you said, we're horror guys.
Yeah.
So Halloween Horror Nights is something that's pretty high on the list. I mean, if there's one thing that I love about living in Florida is that stuff like that is just so readily. Yeah. It just happens all the time.
We don't have to go on vacation to do this type of stuff.
We're not. Yeah. So I don't I don't envy people who have to pay for a plane ticket or have to drive down here to do stuff like that.
Plan months in advance. Make sure it's okay with the job and the family.
Right.
And,
we just fucking say, hey, what day do you want to go?
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Get the fear passes. So, we'll go on the weekdays.
Exactly.
Fine.
So
perfect segue, by the way. The reason I chose this topic was because we have lived in Central Florida for so long. Mm-hmm. Getting back to our original topic before we got sidelined this entire time is, Marco, this is giving you more than enough fuel to think about what you're going to talk about. What property would you use to make an amusement park experience? Fictional property. Any kind.
What fictional? Well, I mean, I was gonna use George Romero, but I think the zombie thing, could leave that alone. Oh, it'd be really cool though. Aliens. Yeah. An aliens property. That'd using cool. The ship, being in the ship. Mm-hmm. No, part of the ship and part of the planet. Because on Aliens, they're on the planet.
On the planet.
And they get in the ship.
They're at Hadley's Hope on part 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Aliens. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my choice.
And then Nostromo from the original.
Yeah. Come on, son.
Yeah.
You kidding me? People walking around in
the Colonial Marine outfit.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the Xenomorphs walking around.
Yeah.
Man, that would be awesome.
I hate to instantly kill your heart.
You're about to. I can already.
But.
Stop it. Just stop.
Brace yourself.
Okay.
They used to have an alien experience in California that you could walk through, and they had mind you, it wasn't your full concept of everybody gets a gun and gets to shoot the aliens, but your quote unquote tour guide had a gun and went through this entire experience of shooting the aliens around you, and you got to walk through. I think it was the ship. I think it was set up like the ship, or one of those classic corridors type scenarios with aliens popped out and all that type of stuff. So.
I think sci-fi is ripe with things that it's the easiest genre to say how can we put this into real life, sci-fi and fantasy. You know? So if there was like a Lord of the Rings property that you could, that would be huge. Yeah.
You'd have to walk a lot,
right? But it would be, it made billions. It's like one of the most successful movies of all time. So people, I think, would really dig that. But I think sci-fi, horror, and fantasy are the ones that you can really just ripe for the picking for things like that.
Yeah, because I think those genres really kind of live and die by their world building.
Right, exactly. So. They really, if the world isn't built in a way that you can believe it while suspending your disbelief at the same time, it totally rips you out of the movie, especially in horror films. If you can't just give yourself to the film completely, and then you're going to be ripped out of it. And I hate seeing people go on Facebook and say, that movie wasn't scary. When they sat in the theater, waiting just to waiting for the movie to end to post that status, Like, if you're not going to give yourself to it, then of course it's not going to be scary. Anybody can watch a movie and go, fuck this. Well, and just not,
That's the same exact thing as the people that go to Halloween Horror Nights just to act not scared.
Right. And what's the point? Grown men get scared. Like, if I wanted to, I could walk through and just be like,
whatever.
Fuck this. I know he's an actor. Obviously, the guy's getting paid to run around with a fake chainsaw.
Yeah.
That's the point. It's all about, like, giving yourself to it and letting it, just letting it be. Just
live in that world for a second.
Live in it. Like,
escape from your stupid, mundane reality for a second.
You paid all this money to be an asshole about it? Like, why? Just sit there, like, live in it and have fun.
It's so easy to spot those guys too, and I'm saying guys in particular because 9 out of 10 times it's some like frat bro that's walking around, obviously just there to basically drink and talk shit.
Yeah,
and that's it.
And they ruin it for everybody. It's one thing for you to not be digging it. Like, first of all, why'd you even? Because you know what you're getting into. Yeah. It's Halloween Horror Nights. It's been around, we already said it, it's been around 20 plus years. You know what you're getting into. So you paid $80 to come here just to say, it sucks.
I'm a tough guy.
You can't scare me.
Yeah.
What? Why? Leave. No one needs you here. You're ruining it. Leave your girlfriend, though, because she's making it fun.
Yes.
It's fun to have her.
Yes.
Not you.
Yes. But
okay, so an alien property.
I mean, the most obvious one for me, which I'm surprised you didn't go to first, is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they're already doing, so I feel kind of cheap, like, even saying that. But,
yeah.
I mean, that's the most obvious one. Top of my head, Star Wars, instantly.
Well, you know what's funny is I was going to say Star Trek.
Okay.
Because, like, being on the Enterprise, I was thinking about this whole thing where, like, you're a new recruit, and, like, somebody dies and you have to take their spot and you have to help in like intergalactic fight. So like they have like an LCD screen in front of you that like, I think it, that'd be really expensive, but
push these buttons.
It'd be pretty awesome. But Star Wars. Yeah, that is the obvious choice. I don't know why I thought about that because that is definitely something that, you build a world and you be in it. You could be like, you could choose if you wanted to be, a Jedi, or a fucking
Sith.
You could be a Sith, or just a regular. But then that'd be a lot of money too. Well, okay, let's throw the money thing out the window.
Okay.
Let's just say we've got all the money in the world, and we're just gonna build this, and it's gonna be free for everyone.
Sure. Utopia.
You could be a Jedi, or you could be a clone. Or that's it.
That's all you get.
Because the rest of them, you need like 4 hours of makeup, and just wear a mask. And how cheap would that be?
That's the worst.
So yeah, either you throw on robes or you throw on the
Stormtrooper outfit.
The Stormtrooper outfit. That's it. That's all you got.
The way I have it pictured in my head is you have basically an amusement park cut in half. One half's all Imperial settings, so you get the Death Star. Basically all of the cold, white walls and all that type of stuff, and like the Stormtrooper marching orders and stuff like that, and Darth Vader and all that. And then on the other side you have the Rebel side that's all dirty and sandy and Tatooine and
a lot of tans, a lot of earth tones.
Yes, lots of robes and things like that. And then maybe in the middle they can have a show or something where they face off.
I mean, they could do that. They could definitely like Universal Studios or something. They've got enough for Halloween Horror Nights. They got enough for Disney. I guess Disney World would have to do it.
Yeah, which they are doing.
Right.
And I think let me not say MGM. I was about to say MGM, which is apparently sacrilege nowadays. Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
Let's not get sued.
Whatever.
Is apparently the ones that are doing it. But they're also doing Avatar, aren't they?
Yeah. That's a long time in the
Yeah.
They've been working on that forever, since the fucking movie came out.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
As soon as they realized like that movie was gonna be like a global hit, that like a nonstop just money maker, they were like, well, what's
green light everything?
Yeah, everything. Just do it all.
Somebody make this into a cartoon.
Yeah. Why haven't they done a cartoon?
I don't know.
Because that seems like the next thing. Yeah. Maybe that's an 80s thing.
Blue Aliens,
Good, successful movie, cartoon.
Cereal.
Cereal. Yeah, that's weird.
Knobby Pops.
Because they're definitely coming out with that sequel, and I keep seeing articles about how James Cameron's doing this and James Cameron's doing that. Sigourney Weaver's in it. I just don't give a shit. What did you think of that movie?
Wait, let me give you a vocal response to that.
Really? That's all it was?
Okay. Honestly, it was a good one to do in theaters, right? It was one of those excuses to go see 3D.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty much it. It was very pretty. It was very pretty to watch, but short of that, the story didn't really get me going. Yeah. I really liked the look that it had that reminded me of that sort of Aliens look, with the colonial marine type stuff.
Yeah.
Which just really made me pine for another Aliens movie.
Right.
More than anything else. But yeah, really overall the stories within that, the characters within that, no.
I'm going to go ahead and say it right here, right now. Most overrated movie of all time.
All time?
All time. It is definitely all time most overrated. People lost their shit over that fucking movie.
More than Titanic?
You think Titanic's overrated? I think Titanic's a little overrated, but I wouldn't say that it's the most overrated because there are merits to that film. It's funny that both of these are James Cameron movies.
Well, I was going to say, there's merits to that film, but again, almost all of them are visual.
That's true. He's a very visual artist.
Yeah.
He's very, visual first, story second.
He's no Michael Bay, though.
He's no Michael Bay.
He likes submarines like 100% more than Michael Bay.
Yeah, I really think it's if not all time, the most overrated film I've ever heard of.
Okay.
I haven't watched every single movie ever of all time. Mm-hmm. I've seen most of the popular ones, right. A lot of the indie ones. I would consider myself a movie buff in training, I guess. The only reason I say I'm not like a full-on movie buff is because there have been years where like I haven't seen any movie, and then there have been years where I've seen every single movie you could fucking watch that like had any meaning to anybody.
And you don't have like the Criterion collection or anything like that.
Right, exactly. That's another thing. Like my collection is the music part. Like movies, I have like 30 movies maybe. Mm-hmm. So that's why I can't like full on say that I'm that. I know enough about movies to know that fucking movie is overrated.
Yeah,
it's fucking overrated.
I agree, 100%.
When that shit came out, people they just couldn't get enough of it. It was like people like, Avatar's the greatest movie of all time. And it's like, how many movies have you seen?
I wonder if people still think that.
That is a good question. I'd like to talk to people who at the time thought it was the greatest movie they had ever seen.
Can we do like a poll? Like look up the people that posted that as a Facebook post?
And then ask and see how they vote. Because, how many of them bought the like triple like special edition DVD Blu-ray
3D Blu-ray?
Yeah. Who bought 3D TVs just to watch Avatar? Because that's how they sold them.
Yeah.
Like when that movie came out, they were like, get a 3D TV so you can watch Avatar. Yeah, it was bad, man. I hated that time.
In history.
That stretch of like a year and a half.
It's a rough year and a half.
Where everyone loved Avatar. I was done with it.
Yeah.
Fucking done with it.
I remember literally going out of the movie theater going,
Yeah. Okay. I watched it when it was on HBO. Mm-hmm. Now, I know the first thing that people are going to say when they listen to this is go, you didn't watch it in theaters? Mm-hmm. How can you say it's not a good movie if you didn't watch it in theaters? And that's the point. Is a good movie you can watch on a fucking cell phone. Mm-hmm. It's still a good movie, you know?
Yeah.
You can still appreciate the movie for what it is. If it's well written, well acted, visually it's still stunning. I watch Inception on my iPod. It's still a good movie, you know? So I don't need to see it in theaters to know if it was good or not. If it was a good movie, I could watch it on a fucking watch.
Right.
You know?
Watch it on a watch?
Watch it on a watch.
Oh my God.
On one of those fucking Galaxy Gears, and it'd still be a good movie. So I don't need to see it on the. Obviously, that adds to the experience. But if a movie is, if all a movie is just the experience,
right?
Then what's the point? Then just turn it into a theme park.
Let me break it down in a different way.
Okay.
Avatar the movie. If you say that it can only be experienced at its true capacity in a 3D movie theater experience, is basically saying if you go out for drinks with a girl, she can only be experienced in a dimly lit room,
right,
while drinking alcoholic content.
There you go.
You know, if you can't bring her out into light of day, introduce her to your mom, she's not a good girl.
Right. She can only be experienced in a certain way at a certain time in a certain room. Then how much lasting effect does this person or this product have? I wouldn't want to marry something that can only be experienced one way.
No.
You know?
So, I mean, that's my argument to people that say it's their favorite movie of all time. If you think it's a good movie, okay, that's fine. I didn't think it was a bad movie.
It's certainly not a bad movie.
I just didn't think it was a great movie.
Right.
And some people are taking it a step further and saying it's a perfect movie.
Yeah. And that's when we have problems.
Yeah.
And that's why there's wars. And that's why there's still no peace in the Middle East. Because people believe that
Avatar's the best movie.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. So it's sad. It's very sad. I think we should move on.
Please.
Because if you liked Avatar, that 15 minutes probably wasn't a good time for you.
But wait. Okay. If you did enjoy Avatar, I mean, okay, let's not even say enjoy. If you thought Avatar was a great movie, please let us know why.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that it's a bad movie. I think both of us, we're not saying that it's a bad movie. Just that, it's a little overrated. People just thought that calling it one of the best movies ever. And I think the success of the movie reflected that. The success, it's one of the, I think it was like top 5 ever.
Right. Grossing movies of all time.
Yeah, as far as the success reflects how people felt about it.
Well, just like Titanic, it became a movie-going experience.
Right. Well, that's the thing. They sold it to people as you need to see this. It's one of those films that you need to see, and that's good marketing.
Yeah.
But if you can't take a movie home and watch it in your bedroom and still enjoy it the same way that you enjoyed it in a movie theater, what does that say about the movie?
Yeah.
And what does that say about your experience with the movie?
Yeah,
I think it says a lot about it.
Just like the dating analogy, it just means it's kind of superficial.
Yeah, exactly. Very superficial, very surface level love for something. But I think people feel differently. There's some people who feel differently, and if you do, like Obi said, let us know. Comment section, YouTube or whatever. But we're gonna move on to YouTube. I think it's a good segue.
Wow.
Right to YouTube.
Professional.
Today, I read an article, and I don't know when you read the article
today.
Something about it, but so apparently, since Google has purchased YouTube, there have been some things that people have not been fans of, namely the comment section that they've kind of started to take control of, and now you have to use your Google Plus account.
Everything being synced together.
Right, it's becoming this really Google. I wasn't a fan when they first started doing that because now it kind of fucks up my whole. I have an account. I have a Google account that has all my subscriptions, and then I have a Google Plus account.
Right.
So they made me turn that into a Google Plus account. So now when I go on YouTube, I have to make sure that I'm signed into the right account, or I'm not going to see any of my subscriptions.
Right.
So that's a little frustrating because I have for some reason people like Google Plus a lot, or not Google Plus, Gmail. They really like using Gmail.
I'm a fan. That's what I use mostly.
Well, I mean, that's what we use for the podcast.
Right.
We use it for the podcast. the website that I work for, kevinnottingham.com, shout out. They use Gmail, and then and then I just have a personal Gmail just because. I mean, I just felt like it was necessary just to have one because I've seen that it's becoming this growing thing. Google Plus, not so much, but Gmail, definitely. So Google taking over YouTube and forcing you to use a Google Plus account and all this was already frustrating enough for some people who just felt like, look, I just want to go on here and comment anonymously and troll people. Like, why do I have to use my real name?
Right.
Damn you, Google. So in a new development with Google's takeover of the internet, they've made it so that labels who post their music on YouTube have to sign a licensing agreement with Google. And if they do not, they cannot post their music, or they cannot post their acts on YouTube until they sign this distribution deal with Google.
Right.
And it's an easy sell for labels like Sony and Universal and Warner Brothers, but for indie labels like XL or Rough Trade, it's not such an easy thing to do. To say, yeah, sure, let's sign this licensing deal. We'll just give you our music for this. A lot of them are saying they're giving us the shaft with this deal, and we're not going to take it. Now, I will preface this with saying that none of this is official yet. Right. A lot of this, all the things that I've read about it have been rumors or hearsay. But when the internets take a hold of something, there's a nugget of truth in it. Yeah. So the nugget there is that YouTube and Google are working on a streaming service.
Yes.
And this licensing thing is part of that streaming service.
It makes perfect sense because if they do that, then they can compete with Spotify. And they can compete with Pandora.
Right.
So those two alone are, doing, I would assume, very well nowadays.
Right.
So Google, being the all-encompassing internet master that it's trying to become now and world dominator, is trying to get in on that game too. So from what I heard, apparently if people don't sign that agreement, their material will be taken off of YouTube.
Right.
So that would leave only, I guess, people doing covers of those songs and just basically very independent, like if you and I were to make a song together and put it up.
Very awful, like a couple of years ago when nobody made their stuff accessible on mobile devices. Right. Like if you try to get something on your cell phone, that's what the entire YouTube is going to be like if this is true, and if it goes through, because there are like the 3 or 4 parent companies that own most of the labels, but there are a lot of artists who sign to these indie labels who don't want to deal with the major labels anymore because they're raping people basically. And I'm really disappointed if this is true. I'm disappointed in Google and in YouTube that because like a couple of years ago when the SOPA thing happened, for instance, Google was at the front of the line saying, sign this petition, we want to keep the internet free, we want to freedom for all people, blah blah blah, this, that, and the third. And now it just feels like they're buying in, It's disappointing.
I read today, I think it was on Guardian. I want to say, I may be wrong on that. We'll link to it eventually on Facebook. But they took the stance of everybody's freaking out, but it's really not that big of a deal. Because they're saying that the majority of artists are signed to the labels that are accepting of this already. And really, you're not going to see many videos taken down because a lot of the videos that you think would be taken down fall within that line of being, truly user generated and, being lumped in with like the covers versions of songs and stuff like that, or are already on Vimeo.
Right.
So if they're already on that, or Vivo, I should say, Vivo. They're already on Vivo. So if they're already on Vivo, they're covered basically. Yeah. And they'll stay on YouTube. And the only reason they're trying to do that, from what press says, is that they want to have that user experience be seamless, because if they have it on the premium account of whatever Spotify sort of thing they're doing, they want to also have it on the regular unpaid one too. Yeah. So it'd be unfair, to them, I would say, if you could see it on the unpaid one but couldn't see it on the premium.
Yeah.
So that's their stance of trying to make it a seamless program where everybody's signed under this contract. Therefore, we can play everything that's on YouTube and use it as a music streaming thing, which is really smart on their part. Like I wouldn't say I don't have any qualms about it, but I see what they're doing.
Yeah.
I understand the logic behind that business decision.
It
makes sense.
For me personally, I don't subscribe to any of these streaming services. I mean, I have accounts with all of them, but free accounts. So like if I want to just check something out on Spotify or YouTube or Pandora, I don't go on Pandora. I'll go on, like, if I want to find something, I'll go on YouTube. I'll just Google something first. So, damn you, Google.
They got
You're my only option.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would Google something first, or I go to YouTube. That's how it goes. I'll Google it first. If I can't find it, I'll go to YouTube. If I can't find it there, then I might go to Spotify, or vice versa. Try Spotify first. Right. Anyway, my point being, most stuff that I listen to, either I own it already, or I'll go out and find it physically. So this new thing with the streaming services, I get it for people who just want to hear, their favorite songs while they do their homework, or while they're on their way to the club or whatever, or just hanging out and listening to, indie rock, but you want like a mixture of it, blah, blah, blah. I get that. So it's just this new fad of streaming services, like Beats by Dr. Dre is going to come out. They're working on one, and then the YouTube one, and then there's one more that I'm forgetting. That all these companies, if you have even the slightest finger dipped into the music, then you need a streaming service for some reason. I'm pretty sure Microsoft has one. Apple's got iTunes, and it's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan, but that's just me personally, because we collect music. Right. Me and you, we collect it. So Spotify and these streaming services are for discovery, but they're not utilized the way I feel like other people utilize them. So for me personally, like, all these fucking streaming services, like, fuck them.
Well, okay, so we're both like collectors as far as music goes, but at the same time, for me, I end up going to Spotify before I go to the record store, basically. So whenever I am even remotely interested on something, a new release, that's my favorite tab is new releases. I go there and I test out kind of everything that's coming out that I'm interested in. And I give it a listen. I give it an initial listen. And if I like it, I'll go pick it up. So, I mean, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, Spotify really is my partner when I'm working on stuff too.
Right.
Like, it's given me a slight sense of, like, I don't know, like, I feel like I own this music. Like, I'm supposed to have this music. Even though I don't really own it. It's just free on the internet, basically. Which isn't a good thing, like, especially for the artists, because I feel like a lot of people don't buy music anymore. They just listen to it on Spotify if it's available.
That's true.
So, and, we don't know the exact numbers as far as what artists
we don't know anything as far as these streaming services go. As far as facts, this is all a lot of speculation. So it's just I'm worried about the trend that this starts. Like, I don't know how, like you said, we don't know how Spotify or Pandora pays the artist, or how they get the money, how the artists, because I know, like, in Radiohead, and there's been other bands who, like, they don't support these streaming services because they don't pay the artists enough, or at all, depending on how people go about getting the music and stuff like that. Right. So, I mean, like Pandora, for instance, when it first started out, was like the free streaming service. It was actually pretty sweet back in the day. Yeah. I mean, I could deal with, like, an ad every 5 songs to get free, like, unlimited free music forever.
Streaming forever.
So now they charge you after a while, or you can't listen to X amount of hours of music, and they want you to upgrade and blah, blah, blah. And I get it. It's all about these fucking microtransactions now, man. And it sucks. I mean, these businesses have to make money, and we're spoiled for thinking that a service is supposed to just play unlimited free music forever. But then again, you get spoiled when somebody gives you something for a long time, and then they take it away, and then you go, no, that was mine, I want it back. that's how you spoil people. And
that's
Pandora and Spotify and YouTube, we've been spoiled by these streaming services for free, and now they're trying to charge people, and it's upsetting people.
Well, I mean, that's not even the thing. It's that we're all entitled by having this music at our fingertips.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you didn't have these options. What you would do is you go to a record store and you'd ask them, "Hey, what do you guys get in?"
Yeah.
And they'd show you, and you go, "What do you guys think about this?"
Right.
And then they'd tell you what they liked. You'd be able to hear it at the record store, decide if you want to buy it or not, and then pick it up.
Right.
You know, that's the way it went.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's gonna sound very hipster, but isn't that a more pure experience? Like, isn't that what it's about?
Oh, twirl your beard.
I mean, isn't that what it's about?
Get over it. Yeah, it is. That's
exactly. It's a more beautiful thing to me. Like, realistically, like, that sounds so much better to just go to a store and be like, "What do you think of this band?" And the guy's like, "You should check them out." I mean, you just buy the record.
If you live in a metropolitan area, chances are you can have that experience still.
Yeah.
You know, like, we still go to Park-ified CDs, and shout out to Alex. He's the one that always, like, gets me up on stuff as far as the new releases and stuff I've never heard of. You know?
That's true.
So
that's true.
You can do that, but I don't think that streaming music is necessarily this evil thing that needs to be crushed. You know, I think it's definitely a wisely utilized tool, by me at least, in order to discover new music, like you were saying. So as soon as I discover it, if I like it enough, I will give them that money of the purchase.
Right. Okay. My question is, I know you would support the artist themselves because you have and you do. Mm-hmm. Would you support the streaming service? That's the question, because that's what we're gearing towards. Mm-hmm. Is there? I mean, eventually they're not going to be free streaming anymore. You know,
it's not really free when there's ads, though. That's the thing.
That's true.
So,
but I mean, that's a small sacrifice.
Yeah.
So would you pay for, like, the premium Spotify or the premium Pandora or the premium Google? It's supposed to be the Music Pass or something like that. I guess. Whenever YouTube comes out with their streaming service, would you pay for it? Is there any instance where you would pay for that?
Unless, as an industry standard, they all decided everybody has to pay. No, I would not. If I had to do it, if I had to pay, I would probably pay for Spotify. I'd pay for Spotify because I like that service. I like to be able to pick whatever I want to listen to and have the option to listen to a radio station or make an instant playlist, basically, if I wanted to. It gives you a lot more options, which I like, But yeah, only if I absolutely had to, because I'm fine hearing a stupid Meek Mill commercial every few songs or so. That's a good enough sacrifice to me.
You might offend the Meek Mill fans.
I'm sorry. He's annoying in that commercial. Suede's everywhere.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I wouldn't pay for a streaming service. Take it all. Fuck off.
Well, okay. I mean, that has a lot to do with your lifestyle, though, because when you're at work, you're not listening to music.
That's true.
When I work, I'm writing stuff, so I like to have some kind of thing in the background.
That's true.
Or if I'm just doing research on something, I can listen to something more lyrical, so I can put on a new album that I've been looking forward to listening to, see if it's any good, and then if it's good enough, mental check note, I can go to Park app and pick it up. So
okay, now I think to kind of just cap this baby off, you would pay for Spotify. I mean Spotify, yeah, I agree. Spotify is worth it. Mm-hmm. Nah, I wouldn't say worth it, but close. Because Spotify, I like Spotify more than I like any of the other streaming services.
Okay. So it's the closest to you.
Yeah, out of all the streaming services. If I was forced to pay for anything, I would definitely pick Spotify, because you pick an artist or an album or a genre or anything. Like Pandora, for instance, like, you get that mix, and it's just like, I don't want Pandora's opinion on what they think is an artist similar to who I picked. Okay, right. I don't need you telling me, like, I had a friend. He posted the status. He said, Pandora thinks Afro Man is similar to Bob Marley, and it's just like, I don't need you, Pandora, fucking up, what I, not quite. But Spotify is not like that. You just, you decide, like, I want to hear this. I want to hear, like, I've listened to whole discographies.
Yeah, it's the closest you can get to having basically the entire discography of the world at your fingertips, barring a few artists that, aren't on there. But.
So if I had to pick one, it would be Spotify. But I'm not going to pick one. Okay. I'm not going to pick any of these streaming services. I'm going to be a crabby old hipster and not pay for any of them. So that's it, kids. This was the One Beer In podcast. Fuck you, David, for leaving us.
We didn't miss you.
Going to California and enjoying your time, eating In-N-Out Burger. You bitch.
I hate you.
Catch us on the YouTubes, onebeerin.wordpress.com, Twitter /onebeerin, and Facebook /onebeerin.
Yep.
That's it. My name is Marco Duper.
This is Obesius.
Thank you guys for listening and have a beautiful evening.
Bye.